Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this webinar, which is the third out of our mini-series. Maybe you have been hearing from my colleague Mikkel, who talked about marketing operating model, or maybe you've been hearing from my colleague Lisa talking about commercial insights. And today I'm going to share a little bit on why your offers might not convert. And welcome, my name is Josephine. I'm a manager here at Quadrant Consulting. So let's get started. So just a fun fact about me, I'm a huge fan of the Stoic philosophy. It's simple ideas, it's very practical. And if there's only one thing I can teach you today, let it be this: what stands in the way becomes the way. It's a quote from Marcus Aurelius, a former Roman emperor. And let it just sink in for a second. The things that are stopping people from saying yes to your offer, the doubts, the friction, the objections, those are the way. That's where value is built. And today I'm going to show you and tell you a little bit about how that is. So I want to start by sharing a story on a great offer I experienced myself that was choosing a daycare for my daughter. So like most first-time parents, I was pretty obsessed with making the right choice for my daughter's daycare. I mean, you're only one bad daycare away from screwing up their early childhood, right? So I wanted to choose a great daycare with great environment, great food, and great teachers. And obviously it had to be in the right location because I don't want to bike across Copenhagen like a crazy person every morning. So I made my mental checklist. It needed to be close to home and on my way to work. There needed to be some outdoor space that wasn't just concrete, healthy food and preferably organic food, and staff that I could trust, people who genuinely love and engage with small kids. But here's the thing, I knew absolutely nothing about daycares. Like, how do you even begin to compare them? So I did like any modern parent does. I opened Google and I went straight to maps. I zoomed in on my neighborhood and started clicking around. Most of them had names like Brumbassen or Elverhøj, or some cute other name that tells you absolutely nothing about what they actually offer. I mean, how are you supposed to compare or choose based on that, right? But then one name stood out, and that was Idrætsbørnehuset, or sports daycare. I was like, sports daycare? That sounds, well, healthy. Like they won't just be sitting around indoor all day, right? So I checked out their website, and compared to the others, Idrætsbørnehuset looked modern, clear in its messaging, and generally they were reassuring that they are going to take care of my kid, right? And the other websites I looked at, yeah, they mostly lacked identity and also just basic user friendliness. And Idrætsbørnehuset had this entire page dedicated for new parents because they know that there is a lot of concerns for new parents when deciding on a daycare. And through that page alone, I was able to check out my entire mental checklist. And here's the thing, what Idrætsbørnehuset did differently had nothing to do with me just getting lucky and stumbling across them. They actually solved every concern that I had clearly and proactively. And that's why it hit me. They nailed their offer, starting from the very name. And funny enough, this little daycare gave me a lesson in creating compelling offers in a very simple way. So today we're going to unpack how you can do great offers, just like my daughter's daycare, in a step-by-step approach. So let's just zoom out for a second. Why does this even matter? Why spend the time obsessing over your offer? Because if your offer is not, but that's actually because if your offer is not hitting, it's not just a messaging issue. It's the difference between interest and action. The difference between leads that convert and leads that just go dark. And if you've ever heard the clients say, oh, this is too expensive, I don't have it in my budget, we're focusing elsewhere right now, I have bad news for you. Price is rarely the real objection. What they're really saying is, this doesn't feel worth it to me. It doesn't solve enough of my problems, if any at all. And if they don't feel the value, it's not their fault. It's on us. And when you hear this from your clients, it should be a red flag or a clear signal that your offer is not connecting with your client's actual problems. So let's break it down. Why doesn't an offer feel worth it? There is 3 reasons. 1, your client don't see the outcome they really want. 2, it doesn't solve their real concerns. And 3, it doesn't feel like a no-brainer to them. Remember, people don't buy features. They buy something that makes their life easier, life or jobs, easier, better, or safer. And it's your job to make that connection between your service or product and their feeling. So how do we actually fix this? Let's break down what a great offer actually does and how to build one. So a great offer isn't just a clever tagline, a generic value proposition, unique selling point, or whatever we want to call it, that is focusing on features or even just lowering or making a better price. Instead, a great offer does 3 things really well. It clarifies the outcome, so you make it obvious what your client will get. Not something like, we offer this unique software, but you'll cut your admin time by 50% with our solution. It removes the barriers. Every little reason someone might hesitate to get involved inside your offer, right? Think risk-free trials, onboarding help, money-back guarantee, whatever you can do to remove barriers. And it turns friction into value. You make the process so smooth, so appealing, that it feels like a no-brainer to them. And that's what we're aiming for. Not something they have to think about, but something they really can't afford to miss. All right, let's then go to the big question. So what is a great offer actually? It's, again, not some generic value proposition. It's not discounts or reductions slapped on your product or service. It's an offer that actually solves a real problem and does it in a way that feels like it's supernatural. And nothing better to prove my point than to go through some actual examples. So let's do that. But just before we go through the examples, I just want to mention this. People are lazy. And I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just plain human nature. We all want the path of least resistance, especially when the decision is complex or expensive. So this image, this is how people mentally buy. I know the process can be complex. The actual sales process, especially in B2B, can be complex, but people's mentally process, it's straight ahead. They're not taking the nice paved route that we carefully laid out, filled with features and nice messaging. They're cutting straight through the grass to whatever gets them their outcome, either faster, easier, or with less effort. So like, just think about, why do drive-ins exist? Why do students Google summaries of books instead of reading the entire thing? Why do express links, fast tracks, or even ChatGPT exist? It's because people don't want more stuff, more options. They want less friction. And if your offer feels hard to understand, hard to act on, or hard to justify, people won't take it. They'll go with whoever feels easiest. That's the whole point. So now on to the examples. So maybe some of you know this company. It's called Bagge. It's an online mattress company, and these guys realized pretty early that their customers had 2 big worries. What if I pick the wrong bed? And what do I do with my old bed? It has nothing to do with price when you want a bed, because you want a nice bed. They didn't focus on this many layers of cushioning, or our bed does this and this. No, they focused on the friction that their customers had. So how do they actually solve it? They solved it by, you get a bed you can try out for 100 days, free trial. If you don't like it, we'll come and pick it up and exchange it with a new one. And also, we'll take your old bed away for free when we install the new one. So to me, that's a no-brainer, and I of course have one of these beds at home. And another one is Botane. They sell super realistic artificial flowers, both for private and for offices. And why do they do that? Right? If you were in an economic class, your teacher would probably say flowers are the most homogenic product there is. You can only compete on price. But actually, flowers are a real pain. They die, right? You forget to reorder, you forget to rebuy. And no one wants the job of replacing the water. So they turn those pain points into their offer. They have zero maintenance flowers that are super realistic. You can buy complete bouquets, so you don't have to go in and pick and choose single flowers to create your own. You can choose either to buy single ones or buy fully complete bouquets. And you don't need to reorder, because now you have always fresh and presentable flowers in your home or in your office. Again, it's not just a product, it's making your life easier. And of course, I also have these flowers in my home, and we also have them in the office. And then the last example I just want to share with you is Microsoft Copilot. So instead of trying to sell this generative AI or whatever we are calling it right now, they tackle 3 annoying realities for knowledge workers. So people waste time and effort switching between apps. Important information often get lost in email threads or messaging or presentations. And writing analysis reports and decks is a time consumer for most workers. So what they have done is that they have embedded their AI inside tools that people already use. So Word, Excel, Outlook. It writes, it summarizes, it creates, all from inside your existing workflow. No new interface, no super steep learning curve. The AI just becomes your seamless assistant, and it frees up your time. So that's a real offer, right? All right, so now you get why offers matter and what some of the great offers out there are. So now let's see how we actually build one. And this is the part where most businesses either skip or overcomplicate a little bit, but it's actually what separates the meh offer to shut up and take my money. So here's the framework I have named the core framework. So let me break it down. First, we have the first part, which is called clarify the desired outcome. So what is it that you have to do here? This is where it all starts, right? You have to get crystal clear on what your clients actually want to achieve or avoid. And what you can do or how you can do it is call your existing customers. Ask them what made you feel like this was a win, or what's the top 3 things it solves after you have started using it, right? Look at your top deals. Where did the clients emphasize that they really liked the product or service? What did they say they were excited about? Your job is to dig up the real outcome they care about. And then secondly, you have to outline all the perceived obstacles. So what you have to do is, once you know what they want, once you know the outcome, you want to figure out if they're getting it or not, and why if they're not getting it. So here's how you do it actually. You can interview lost clients. Just ask, what held you back from moving forward with us? Talk to your sales reps. They have a lot of information, like what objections do you hear most often with clients? List down every single hesitations that you can find that your customer might have, even the ones you think are silly. Whether it's in the buying process, fear of change, too much effort, risk, or confusion, write it down. This is your friction list. And then you have to take all these frictions and remove each barrier with a solution. So now you take the friction list and systematically go through and knock down every single obstacle. For each one, ask, what can we add, change, say, or do to solve this? So, for instance, if people are afraid of making the wrong choice, offer a free trial or a guarantee policy. If onboarding feels like a pain, offer setup support or an onboarding service, a direct number to customer success. Like, there's so much stuff you can do the most important is just if they don't believe it work, use case studies or client proof. Maybe some of you heard my colleague Lisa talking about commercial insights. This is where you use them. And then lastly, you elevate the perceived value. So this is the last step to make your offer feel like a no-brainer. Things that take little effort from you, but can add a ton of perceived value to clients. Use return on investment calculators, use before or after visuals, help them see what success look like. Shift your messaging from features to business outcome. And that's pretty much it. It's simple, but it's definitely not easy. Talk to your customers, both existing and lost one. Talk to sales, analyze deals, list down every single friction point, and solve them. Solve every piece of it, and then frame your offer around this, what your customer truly wants. And that is how you get a core offer. So let's end on the thing we started with. So if you remember nothing else from today, just remember this: what stands in the way becomes the way. Every time your offer doesn't convert, every time your client says it's too expensive or let me think about it, that's the obstacle speaking. And that obstacle becomes your way to making a great offer. Thank you. And now I will take questions.